Well, speaking of some other news that we are following for you today, we're going to follow up on a cyber story because a group of researchers have just found a new way to wirelessly hack into a Corvette by taking over its brakes.
Here we go. Start moving. Sending brake command. Stop. Okay, so here we go. Starting our slow 5-mile-an-hour cruise.
I'll keep it down below 5.
Setting the command. And we brake.
This could have happened to any of thousands of vehicles. So a tiny commercial device, 2 square inches, designed to be plugged into a vehicle's dashboards did it. It is used by insurance firms and trucking fleets to monitor vehicle location, speed, and efficiency. Joe Loomis with me now, cybersecurity expert, CEO of CyberSponse. Of course, he is a firm that deals with breaches, new threats. So, Joe, how, first of all, did the researchers gain access so easily to the Corvette?
Well, because these manufacturers really aren't paying attention to the security side of convenience. There's an OBT port that is every automobile after 1985 has, and this port is a diagnostic port, and it allows manufacturers to communicate with the onboard computers. So it's essentially a free access to your computer's mainframe. And what these hackers did is they accessed the command and control in the software to activate certain functions within the products inside of these computer systems. So it's no different than remotely controlling your webcam, controlling your browser, controlling your keystrokes. It's the same correlation. And the scary part is the manufacturers now are going to start thinking about opening their own cyber divisions of these manufacturing lines to attain to this type of threat.
Although, I mean, that sounds like what they should be doing, because if this is going to be applicable to more and more models, it does imply that the car companies have to take responsibility and hire to protect themselves in this way. But components like locks or steering or transmission, can these be hijacked?
Absolutely. Everything that's electronically controlled within the computer can actually be accessed. It could be disabled. It could be enabled. You could turn on windshield wipers. You could turn your headlights off in the middle of nighttime driving. So this is a type of scary activity. And right now there's a company out of Detroit called Mobile Comply that's trying to help manufacturers. And we're really starting to see this connected vehicle explosion where manufacturers are start thinking about more of computer dependencies and vulnerabilities than just the performance of a vehicle.
So, Joe, speaking of vulnerabilities, I just want to play for you now some sound that the Secretary of State, John Kerry, it's a comment that he made earlier talking about China and Russia.
It is very likely. It is not without, outside the realm of possibility, and we know that they have attacked a number of American interests over the course of the last days.
It's very likely that your emails are being read?
It's very possible. There's no way for me, and I certainly write things with that awareness.
Joe, that interview came via CBS, if you saw it, but essentially our Secretary of State, John Kerry, saying it is very likely that Russia and China are reading through his emails. First of all, not to contradict the Secretary of State, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is that in your view?
I'd say it's very likely, specifically because the ability to track and read one's email, if it's not during a secured encrypted method, it's very easy to capture this stuff out of thin air. So we take that for granted because, we all think that, Google and all these email manufacturers protect ourselves. But it makes you wonder why Hillary actually decided to use her own email because she couldn't trust the security of our own U.S. government.
Whoa, Joe, I have to stop you there because you're saying that our Secretary of State, his email is not encrypted. Why wouldn't we have just the best tech possible for our highest government officials?
Because the way email works is both parties have to have the same encryption key to decrypt. So although, for example, the government wants to speak to people that don't have encryption, like, well, if they want to talk to other senators that don't have those type of encryption protocols, it's too big of a landscape. It's very difficult to get everybody on the same backbone and same encryption technology in order to try to adopt to one protocol. And I believe that's what the government's going towards now, is they got to come to a standard protocol so that anybody affiliated with a .gov email account has to follow the same encryption methodology.
Yeah, it would seem it would be good to get that standardized. Joe Loomis, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Joe Loomis joining me there.